Okay, let's talk about the cloud. I mean, you hear that term everywhere, right? Your photos are in the cloud, you stream movies from the cloud. But what is it, really? It sounds kind of vague and magical, but it's not. It's actually something way more interesting. A giant planet-sized network of computers that you can rent a piece of. And in the next few minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain and demystify it for good.
But seriously, have you ever stopped to think about that? When you upload a photo to Instagram or open up your Gmail, where does that data physically go? It's not just floating around in the sky, so where's the actual physical location of your digital life?
And yeah, the easy answer is the cloud. But that's just the label, a marketing term, really. To get what's going on, we need to peek behind that label. What does it actually mean when we say something lives in the cloud?
All right, so let's cut through all the jargon. Let's get a really simple, clear definition. What is the cloud in plain English?
Here it is at its core. Instead of you buying and managing your own really expensive computer servers in some back room, you just rent computing power from a massive provider like Amazon, Google, or Microsoft over the internet. That's it. It turns this huge upfront expense into a simple pay-for-what-you-use utility bill.
In this analogy, it is absolutely perfect. I mean, think about it. You don't build a power plant in your backyard just to turn on the lights, right? No, you just plug into the grid. The cloud is the exact same concept, but for computer power. And this one idea, this shift from owning to renting, is what changed the entire tech industry.
So what makes the cloud so special? Why is it such a big deal? Well, according to the official definition from NIST, that's the National Institute of Standards and Technology, any true cloud service has 5 essential characteristics, but I like to think of them as its 5 superpowers. Let's run through them. First up, on-demand self-service. This is huge. It means a developer can get a brand new server up and running in just a couple of minutes by clicking some buttons on a website. No phone calls, no filing tickets, no waiting for weeks for IT to set it up. It's just instant and totally automated.
Superpower number 2 is broad network access. And this one's pretty simple. It just means you can get to all your cloud services from anywhere you have an internet connection. On your laptop at a coffee shop, on your phone on the bus, access is everywhere.
Third, we have resource pooling. Now this is where it gets really, really cool. Cloud providers build these enormous data centers, and they pull all that computing power together to serve thousands of different customers from the same shared hardware. This creates these incredible economies of scale, which is what makes it so cost-effective.
Okay, number 4, and this one is a total game changer, rapid elasticity. Just imagine an e-commerce site during a huge flash sale. The traffic goes through the roof. The cloud can automatically add more servers to handle that spike in traffic, and then just as easily remove them when the sale is over. To the user, it feels like you have infinite, unlimited resources at your command.
And the 5th superpower kind of ties it all together. Measured service. Just like that electricity meter on the side of your house, everything is monitored. CPU time, storage used, data transferred. It's all metered. You get a detailed bill and you only pay for exactly what you consumed. No more, no less.
So now we know what the cloud is, but how is it delivered? You've probably seen these acronyms everywhere: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. That stands for Infrastructure, Platform, and Software as a Service. It sounds really technical, but don't worry, there's a super simple analogy that makes it all click.
And yep, the absolute best way to understand these models is with something we all get: pizza. We're going to use pizza as a service to break down exactly what you have to manage versus what the cloud provider takes care of for you. So it really all comes down to one simple question. How much of the work do you want to do yourself? Think about it this way. Infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, is like deciding to make a pizza completely from scratch at home. The provider just gives you the oven and the kitchen, the basic infrastructure. You have to bring the dough, the sauce, the cheese, and do all the baking. Next is Platform as a Service, or PaaS. That's kind of like take and bake. The pizza place gives you the dough already made, you just have to add your own toppings and pop it in the oven. And finally, Software as a Service, or SaaS. That's just ordering a pizza for delivery. You don't do anything but open the door and enjoy it.
Now let's just swap out the pizza analogy for the actual technology. You can see the trade-offs right here. IaaS, like Amazon's EC2 service, gives you the highest level of control, which is why system administrators love it. PaaS is kind of the sweet spot for developers. They can just focus on writing their code and not worry about managing the underlying operating system. And SaaS? Well, that's what most of us use every single day with apps like Gmail.
You get the least amount of control, but the most convenience. It's really a spectrum, from total control to total convenience.
Okay, enough with the theory and analogies. Let's make this really concrete. Let's look at a real-world example of how the cloud takes something that used to be incredibly complicated and makes it almost trivial.
You know, not that long ago, hosting even a basic website meant buying a physical server and keeping it running in a closet somewhere. It was a pain. Today, using a cloud service like Amazon S3, it's a 5-step process that literally takes minutes. You create what's called a storage bucket, you upload your files, you click a button to enable hosting, you set a quick permission, and that's it. Bam! Your website is live, available to the entire world, and it can handle millions of visitors without you having to lift a finger.
So we've defined the cloud, we've looked at its superpowers, and we've seen how it works. But let's wrap this up by focusing on the most important question of all. Why does this matter? What's the real impact here?
This chart right here, this is the economic revolution of the cloud. The old model meant you had to spend a fortune on servers before you even wrote a single line of code. The cloud just completely flips that on its head. It replaces a huge capital expense with a small, variable operational cost. And it gives you that incredible elastic scalability we talked about.
And what about reliability? Keeping your data safe. Well, a service like Amazon S3 is designed for something they call 11 nines of durability. What in the world does that mean? It means that if you stored 10,000 files in S3, you could expect to lose just one of them, on average, every 10 million years. Your data is just ridiculously safe.
And this really is the ultimate impact. The cloud is the great equalizer. It gives a global giant like Netflix the unbelievable power to process 700 times billion data events every single day for their recommendation engine, while at the exact same time, it gives a startup in a garage access to that very same power to launch their big idea for just a few dollars a month.
And that leaves us with one last really fascinating question to think about. For the first time in history, the most powerful computing resources on the entire planet are available to pretty much anyone with an internet connection and a credit card. The barrier to entry has just vanished. So if anyone can now access a supercomputer, what amazing things will get built next?